Now, Ray, turning now to Manila's resupply missions to the second Thomas Shoal to resupply the Sierra Madre ship there. There was a recent agreement between both sides, but then both sides disagreed about what the terms were. Now, you have a theory of what might actually have happened.
Yeah, so what I think probably happened based on how we saw both countries react is that both countries, both the Philippines and China, were motivated to try to turn down the temperature at Second Thomas Shoal, especially after the June 17th incident, where we saw bladed weapons brandished by some of the China Coast Guard members against the Philippine Navy personnel there. We saw punctured boats. We saw a Philippine Navy SEAL lose a thumb. And this was right after President Marcos had made a very public speech at the Shangri-La dialogue, in the keynote address, essentially calling the death of a Philippine sailor in one of these incidents a red line for Manila. So I think the stakes had sort of reached a level where both countries just felt like it needed to be turned down. And so the problem was that both countries had made such strong statements up until now that for either of them to be seen to back down would basically be very difficult to sell to their own people or the other people that are watching. So it seems to me what happened was the Philippines refused to put in language that would suggest that they were submitting to China's jurisdiction over Second Thomas Shoal. China allowed that to happen, but sort of reserved the right to put out in their own messaging, but that's exactly what the Philippines did. So they have these competing messages, and the language of the agreement has never been made public. And that may be by design at this point, because the last resupply actually did go off without incident, even though both countries were still having this war of words. They may both have just concluded that it's better to have a war of words than actually to have open conflict on the high seas.
But one of the conditions that China said, would essentially put over this agreement was that there would be advance notice and on-site inspections. Yep. So when this successful resupply actually happened, what do you think occurred?
I think most likely, based on what I've been able to glean from the public statements and such, was that the Philippines let them know when they were in the area. So they did not give, as was originally proposed by China, say a couple of days of advance notice, ostensibly almost asking permission, but simply said when they were coming in, that they had announced that they were coming in to do the resupply. There was ship-to-ship coordination. What was said between the ships has never been released, but that seems to be the most likely answer to the question. So to some degree, that China can say it was advanced coordination. For the Philippines, they can say, well, look, we talked to other ships when we're in the water. And again, they can both kind of spin it in their own way.